Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak on you, my brothers and sisters. And also we congratulate our mothers on Mother's Day today. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أنبياء الله جميعا وعلى سيدهم وخاتمهم حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين وأصحابه الخلص المنتجبين ومن تبعهم بإحسان وإيمان إلى يوم الدين. Mother's Day is a beautiful day. Of course, in America they celebrate that today. In some countries in the Middle East, they celebrate Mother's Day on March 21st. However, mothers deserve more than one day to be celebrated, to be respected, to be honored, so we can pay attention to their sacrifices. We men, if we are successful in this life, it's because of our mothers. It's because of our childhood period. It's because of the early age, when we were little babies. And that is all happened because of the sacrifices of our noble mothers, wonderful mothers. Whatever we do, we would not pay them back. Whatever we do, whatever service, whatever dedication we have to our mothers, we would not return not even a small portion of their favor and their goodness and their services. So we salute all the mothers. We salute them in the month of Ramadan during these holy nights as we are approaching the nights of destiny, Layali al-Qadr, inshallah soon. Please, if you have a mother at home, go and kiss her hand. If your mother is not with you, then call her and greet her. If she already returned back to God, recite Fatiha for her and recite Quran for her. No one can replace mothers in our life. Mothers are unique, irreplaceable. May God bestow energy, health, protection on all of the good mothers in this universe who are working hard to protect their families, to raise good children, good generations. Tonight's subject, my friends, is ultra-sensitive, very critical, probably the most controversial subject in Islam, the most controversial verse in this book, in the Holy Quran, in chapter 4, verse 34. I've been asked by many sisters to explain this. I tried to avoid it, but it's not good to avoid. It's not good for many reasons. One reason being the month of Ramadan is the month of Quran. Not just reciting the Quran, but understanding the Quran. We don't get a chance throughout the whole year to reflect on this book. We don't get a chance. We don't even get a chance to read this book, let alone reflecting upon it. So this month is the month of reflection. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. This book came down during this month. So this book deserves more attention and more scrutiny and more understanding. And therefore, we must understand everything in this book with no exception. Every verse, every sentence, every injunction, every directive, we must understand and we must reflect upon. And we should not bypass. We should not sweep under the carpet. We should not stay away from these subjects. I know some men say, this is sensitive, leave it, don't discuss it. It is going to create more controversy, more confusion. But I don't believe in that. I believe that God has given us the brain. Ar-Rahmanu allama al-Qur'an. The Most Gracious taught the Qur'an. Taught the Qur'an to whom? To you and me, to mankind. Ar-Rahmanu allama al-Qur'ana khalaqa al-insan. created man. Allamahul bayan, endowed him and her with intelligence, with understanding. Therefore, we must understand all the verses of the Quran, including the most controversial. Believe me, when I was researching this subject 30 years ago, not now, and even last night when I was preparing for today, for now, I was tiptoeing in a minefield. I was very cautious and very careful. What to say, how to present this. Because it's a big responsibility. On the one hand, I don't want to provoke my God's anger. I don't want God to hold me accountable tomorrow and say, hey, Mostafa, why did you say this? How dare did you say this? What was your evidence? قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ. When you presented this view, was this your view? Was this your taste and your own selection? Or it was something written somewhere you can trust, you can depend upon. So I have a big responsibility. In whatever I say, I have to be extra careful. This is a responsibility. Everything I say, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. There are two guards standing there recording. Exactly like this camera. When this camera is recording and it is saved somewhere on YouTube, then those two angels are recording everything I'm saying, and I'm going to be held accountable tomorrow. So it's not easy to discuss this controversial subject. It is in chapter 4, Surah An-Nisa, verse number 34. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. فالصالحات قانتات حافظات للغيب بما حفظ الله. واللاتي, we begin from here, and I'm going to translate. واللاتي تخافون نشوزهن فعظوهن واهجروهن في المضاجع واضربوهن فإن أطعنكم فلا تبغوا عليهن سبيلا إن الله كان عليا كبيرا. So let's begin from this subject of so-called, which is nicknamed the wife beating verse in the Quran. Let's read the translation of this, okay? Therefore, the righteous women are devoutly obedient. The righteous women are devoutly obedient, guarding, between two parentheses, in their husband's absence, what God has guarded, what God has asked them to guard and protect. Those are the devout, qanitat. Those are the pious, the righteous. As for those, وَاللَّاتِ تَخَافُونَ نُشُوزَهُنْ. Nushuz, the basic meaning of it in the Arabic literature, Arabic grammar and language, is to rise up. Nushuz is to rise up. But then the connotation of it is to rebel, to disobey. وَاللَّاتِ تَخَافُونَ نُشُوزَهُنْ. As for those from whom you fear discord and animosity, admonish them. Then leave them in their beds, abandon them, have no relationship with them, then strike them. This is the discussion of tonight. This is the subject of the discussion of tonight. Then if they obey you, فَإِنْ أَطَعْنَكُمْ فَلَا تَبْغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ السَّبِيلَ. Seek not a way against them. Have no more control and authority over them. Truly God is exalted, great. Okay, so this is the verse in the Quran. Now, we come to three groups here. I might not be able to cover this subject tonight, so I might divide it into two sections, tonight and tomorrow, inshallah, because this is extensive. And I don't want to rush myself, because I don't want to miss any point here. This subject, as I said, is super sensitive in the Quran. And there are theses and books have been written about this since 1400 years ago. If you Google this subject in the library, there are, I would say, thousands of books and commentaries have been done on this subject in Muslim countries and non-Muslim countries, by scholars, by professors, by philosophers, by pro-Islam, by anti-Islam, you name it. So here we come across, and some people say, some people claim that this verse has been abrogated, but this is not true. This is not one of the verses that have been abrogated. We have a number of verses in the Quran that you find them in the Quran, still there in the book, but the law has been abrogated, suspended. No one practice them anymore, though it is found in the Quran as a reference, as a history, because Quran is also a book of history, a book of law and a book of history. But these verses have been abrogated, and there are books written about the abrogation in the Quran, an-nasikh wal-mansukh. But this one, this particular one, in chapter 4, verse 34, has not been abrogated. No one, no credible scholar or commentator or jurist says that this verse has been abrogated. Still there, still active, still active. And therefore we have three groups here when it comes to this verse. I might cover group 1 and 2 tonight, and I leave the third one, the most important one, for tomorrow, God willing, inshallah. The first group are the traditional, the classical commentators and jurists. And there are many. And in fact, those are the majority when it comes to both the traditions in Islam, both schools of thought in Islam. The majority of both of them, Sunnis and Shias, believe in the first opinion, they are included in the first group, the traditional group. Among those commentators is Al-Razi, Fakhruddin Al-Razi, Al-Qurtubi, Ibn Kathir, Ibn Jarir Al-Tabari, and you name it. Most of those commentators of the Quran. Let me show you an example of that. This is Mukhtasar Tafsir Ibn Kathir. This is the summary of Ibn Kathir. Ibn Kathir is very, very popular book of commentary in the Sunni countries. He has a Salafi tendency. He's one of the students of Ibn Taymiyyah, and he has Salafi tendency. So when he comes to this verse, he says, وَضْرِبُوهُنَّ إِذَا لَمْ يَرْتَدِعْنَ بِالْمَوْعِظَةِ وَلَا بِالْهِجْرَانِ. Strike them if they don't learn a lesson, if they don't stop what they are doing, when you admonish them and when you abandon them in bed, then strike them. فَلَكُمْ أَن تَضْرِبُوهُنَّ ضَرْبًا غَيْرَ مُبَرِّحٍ لَا يُؤَثِّرُ فِيهَا شَيْئًا. You may strike them in a way that is non-injurious. It does not inflict a damage or pain on them, physical pain. So that is typical. When you open today any book of tafsir, this is what they say. None of them is going to say, no, this is something else. Most of the books of tafsir. Okay? And then, of course, I'm going to speak about domestic violence. If not tonight, then tomorrow, inshallah. That domestic violence is gross, is rejected. It's un-Islamic, unethical, ungodly. God would never encourage domestic violence. Whether a wife beating her husband, or a husband beating his wife, or parents beating their kids, or kids insulting their parents. It's forbidden, strictly forbidden. And we're going to come across certain narrations and traditions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Imams of the family of the Prophet that very plainly and openly and categorically denies and rejects domestic violence, violence in the family. Violence in the family is a sin, is a crime against God, crime against religion, crime against humanity, crime against ourselves. So in no way Quran promotes domestic violence. These passages has to be read. We have to read them and reflect upon them, because there are also passages that suggest that there are violence in the Holy Bible. Maybe I can share some of them with you. But we don't say this book is book of violence. We don't say. There are passages in this book, in the Old Testament and the New Testament, speaks about violence, speaks about bloodshed, speaks about attacking a city and exterminating people there, killing everything there, taking women as slaves, children as slaves. But we don't come to this book and say Christianity or Bible advocate violence. We never say that, because we try to understand these verses, these passages, within the historical contexts. There is a historical context. Don't take it out of that context. Once you get it out, you're going to misinterpret it and misunderstand it. This is why what we are doing with this verse, we are trying to understand the climate of that time. The climate of that time. Tafsir al-Kashaf للزمخشري, one of the important tafasir in the Sunni tradition, says that Umar ibn al-Khattab said, when we were in Mecca, living in Mecca, men dominated women. When we immigrated from Mecca to Medina, we saw the society of Ansar, the helpers of the Prophet, their women are dominating them. And our women, they were socializing with the women of Ansar. When we took our women with us from Mecca to Medina, so the women of Muhajirin started to live and socialize with the women of Ansar. So they learned from the women of Ansar how to defy their husbands. The women of Muhajirin learned from the women of Ansar how to defy their husbands. And therefore, when they started defying us, then some men started to hit their wives, use physical violence against their wives. Let me show you. This is Sahih Sunan Abi Dawud. Sunan Abi Dawud. Okay? Let me make some room. This book is huge, so Sunan Abi Dawud As-Sajistani. Abu Dawud As-Sajistani. Kitab al-Nikah, the book of Nikah. عن أياس بن عبد الله ابن أبي ذباب قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. One of the companions is narrating on behalf of the Prophet. لا تضربوا إماء الله. Do not strike the servants of God, meaning women. The man is referred to as Abd, the servant of God. The male is Abd, the female is Amma. So do not strike your women. This is what the Prophet was telling his community. This is in Medina. Okay? فجاء عمر إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. Umar came to the Prophet. فقال ذئرن النساء على أزواجهن. ذئرن means women are defying their husbands, standing up to their husbands, because they used to receive the beating, with a smile in the past, because they were submissive, they were subordinate, they had no choice. Now, when we came to Medina, the situation has changed. Now they are defying their husbands, meaning that they are not absolute obedience. Absolute obedience. Okay? ذئرن النساء على أزواجهن فرخص في ضربهن. O Messenger of God, give us permission, give us permission to hit women. فرخص في ضربهن. Umar is asking the Prophet that the Prophet gives permission so men can hit their women. فرخص في ضربهن. فأطاف بآل رسول الله نساء كثير يشكون أزواجهن. As a result of that, a score of women came to the house of the Prophet complaining about their husbands. Complaining here means what? Because their husbands are hitting them. Okay? يشكون أزواجهن فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم لقد طاف بآل محمد نساء كثير يشكون أزواجهن. I can see that many women today are complaining about their husbands because their husbands are hitting them. Though the riwayah does not say their husbands are hitting them, but this is the connotation. This is the impression you take. Okay? ليس أولئك بخياركم. Those men who are hitting their wives are not the good ones among you. ليس أولئك بخياركم. So the Prophet rejected this, rejected violence. But the environment at that time was such that beating women was normal. I don't want to be rude here, but I want to say, I want you to understand the situation. It's just like beating an animal, beating the horse, okay? Beating the ride that you have, the dab. In the same fashion that they beat the animal, they would go and beat their husbands. A companion by the name of Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, one of the companions of the Prophet, who happened to be a cousin of the Prophet too, unfortunately. This man was killed in the battle of Jamal, the camel battle in Basra, during the reign of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. This man is Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, with Talha ibn Ubaidullah, two companions of the Prophet. They came to Lady Aisha. They said to her, we have to topple and knock down Ali ibn Abi Talib. He should not be the caliph. And they mobilized thousands of people on the way from Medina all the way to Basra. Thousands of people joined their group because they saw Aisha is there, and Aisha was the wife of the Prophet. So they thought this is a legitimate group. And this ended in a battle called Al-Jamal in Basra. Zubayr ibn al-Awwam was killed in that battle, and his grave is there now. We have a town in Iraq near Basra. The town is called Az-Zubayr. His grave is there. This man was married to the sister of Aisha, Lady Asma bint Abi Bakr, the daughter of the first caliph Abu Bakr. She says, Asma, she says, this is in Tafsir al-Kashaf. This is a Sunni source. Asma says, he married me with another 3, so we were altogether 4 wives. And then, فَإِذَا غَضِبَ عَلَى وَاحِدَةٍ, she says, when he gets, Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, when he gets angry at one of his wives, على واحدة منا ضربها بعود المشجب. Mishjab is the hat stand or the dress stand. Do you see the wooden, sometimes metal, sometimes wooden stand where people hang their dress on it? This is mishjab. So he will take this mishjab, this stand, which is made of wood, and he would strike and hit his wife with it. حتى يكسره عليها, until he breaks this stand. The stand is heavy. The stand is heavy, made of wood. He will break the stand on the body of his wife because he's disciplining her. That was the case, my friends. Islam arrived in Medina under these circumstances, where wife beating was common. Men enjoyed this. Men enjoyed beating their wives. And this is not only in Islam. This is in other cultures too, surrounding Islam, surrounding the Arabian Peninsula. This is the case with the Romans, with the Persians, with the Chinese. Go and read the history of women. Go and read it. See how they treated women as slaves. In fact, Umar ibn al-Khattab, let me show you something else. This is chapter, page 1381. 1381. Okay. Yes, I have it here. It's open. Here. Umar ibn al-Khattab, and Umar ibn al-Khattab. This is Sunan Abu Dawood, same book. Abu Dawood as-Sajistani, radiyallahu anhu. He writes in his book, عن الأشعث بن قيس عن عمر بن الخطاب عن النبي. Umar is narrating on the behalf of the Prophet. Now, whether this hadith is authentic or not, God knows. I don't think it is authentic. I don't think. Because I'm going to tell you why this hadith is not authentic. But Umar says, the Prophet said, لا يسأل الرجل فيما ضرب امرأته. Don't even ask a husband if he hits his wife. Don't even ask him, why did you hit your wife? Because he's free. He has the right to hit. Because the wife is his property. He can do anything with her. So don't even go and ask him, why did you hit your wife? That was the culture, my friends. Whereas the Prophet, it's impossible for the Prophet to say this. You know why? Because the Prophet says, أطعموهن مما تأكلون واكسوهن مما تكتسون ولا تضربوهن. The Prophet says, do not strike them. Same book, huh? Same book. In this page. Sunan Abu Dawud. ولا تضربوهن. Do not strike, do not hit your wives. ولا تقبحوهن. تقبح means don't frown at your wife. Don't show her the ugly face. Try to be pleasant. Try to smile. Try to open up. Try to enjoy life with your wife at home. This is the policy of Islam. These are the manners of Islam. So the verse comes and says, in case, now we have two groups of fuqaha when it comes to striking women. One of them say, if she disobey her husband, any disobedience, nushuz means any type of disobedience, or if she refuses to share bed with him, then in this case, you have to go through a set of 3 measures, which are progressive. You begin with the least one, then you go to the second, then you go to the most extreme. Other jurists believe that no, this is not about just mere disobedience or a conflict at home or a fight at home. This is when the wife has an extramarital affairs. This is when the wife is betraying her husband, having immodest behavior with other men. This is about protecting the family. This is when she does not guard her chastity. She's betraying her husband and the family with other men. You only in this case use وَضْرِبُهُنْ, and I'm going to tell you what وَضْرِبُهُنْ does. So, اضربوهن means that, of course, non-violent. A non-violent which leaves no marks, and some people say with hitting them with miswak or siwak, and siwak is this thin, flexible twig which is used for, mouth hygiene, okay? And it should be very moderate. It should not inflict any harm or any pain on them, okay? And the idea of it, my friends, is not physical discipline. I don't like to call it discipline. Discipline is not for human beings. And marriage is not based on discipline. Marriage is based on love. Marriage is based on a mutual appreciation, mutual sacrifice, mutual love, mutual honesty, mutual care, mutual respect, These are the ingredients of marriage. Once you bring physical discipline, once you bring, abandoning her, abandoning the family, then that marriage is not marriage anymore. God says, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. The institution of marriage is based on love, on care. I cannot cover this subject tonight. I promised I'm going tomorrow, inshallah, God willing, to continue on this subject. So we will go through these 3 steps and we see what the scholars say about the 3 steps. And then we go to the second group who says that it's not about hitting, it's about leaving her. وَضْرِبُهُنْ means just leave her and go. And then we go to the third group, which I am part of the third group, who says that this method maybe was used in the past, maybe, but today no longer exists. It doesn't work. That was for certain times, for certain people, certain cultures, but not today when men and women are equal. That does not work. Today, we have to infuse the family with love, with care. And if she doesn't want to live with her husband, or the husband does not want to live with her, let them go their way. We don't bring people through discipline. You cannot even discipline your son today, let alone your wife. We're going to discuss this, inshallah, tomorrow, the rest of it. It's a long story. We divide it into 2 sections. Tomorrow, inshallah, we will wrap it up, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.